don't know what perimenopause does to women. Be absolutely exhausted, go from like being mean to crying like uncontrollably. You like don't even recognize yourself when you look in the mirror. I want to try to give some like concrete examples of some of the symptoms I've been having, because they can be different for every single woman. And that is something that I've learned, because as I hear other women talk, I'm like, yeah, that hasn't happened to me. And it seems like I'm always kind of like behind the curve with that, because I'll say that and then I'm like, that's happening to me. So, for example, this week I have noticed how tired I am at night. And it's not that I do much. I've done a lot more in my life, like with raising kids and being busy and all that stuff. There's no reason I should be absolutely exhausted like I am at 9:30 at night. And all my life I've been saying I need to go to bed earlier. It's been something that I've constantly been working on for like 10 years now, to go to bed at a decent hour. And so I will say all week, even including last night. Last night I was in bed by 11, but other than that, I was like either asleep or lights off trying to fall asleep by 10 o'clock, 10:15, 10:30 at the latest. And I was really proud of myself for that, because I did set my alarm for 6 a.m. to get up, work out, go for a walk, like do all the things I needed to do, make sure my son was up for school. He did oversleep yesterday. So, still do all the things that I needed to do. So I wanted to get up at a decent hour. But that is one thing that I've noticed checking in with myself this week. I'm like, I'm really tired. Something that I have been trying to say to myself more in the past 8 years, definitely. More self-care, listen to my intuition more, listen to myself, like my actual feelings, how can I take better care of myself? And I've done that with like outwardly things, as far as working out, what I'm fueling my body with, taking care of my, skin better, going to the sauna, like all that stuff has been building blocks. But now I'm like, okay, I know what feeling like crap feels like, and I don't want to do that. And I also, I don't know if I'm putting too much weight into HRT, because I have the appointment with my doctor. I think in the previous video I said August 11th, but I got that wrong. It was a whole month after that. September 11th is my appointment. And I'm like, when I get to that appointment, it's going to be like the holy grail. So I don't know if I'm like wrapping too much into this, because a lot of women say once they start taking HRT, like how much better they feel. So I don't know if I'm putting all my eggs in that basket, but I am doing the things to support myself too, like taking care of myself, working out, eating well, now going to bed, early, getting proper rest. I'm trying to do all of those things too. So we'll see. I will definitely be keeping you updated once I start HRT, and I'm going to try to document for myself, how I'm feeling through that process, so I can go back and look and see, like, is it actually working? What is changing? The more in tune you are with learning about something, and this is anything, how, let's say you're like, oh, I never see yellow cars on the road. And then you start thinking about it and you see yellow cars on the road. Okay, that's what it's like when you're learning about a topic. And the more I learn about perimenopause, and the more I learn just about different aspects of it, the more things show up for me. And so something showed up this week in the way of an Instagram live. And I started watching it, and it was about hormones. And it was this woman talking, and she was saying how her husband and her had been married for 28 years. And her husband said that he was glad that he knew her before her hormones started changing. And I think she said it was like 8 years before she went into like full menopause. And her husband said, I'm glad I knew you beforehand, because I knew who you actually were. Because she said she was so mean and she was super emotional. So she would go from like being mean to crying, like uncontrollably, just random things. And I was like, if that hasn't described me, I don't know what has. And I never correlated the two. And it got me thinking how women gaslight themselves all the time over numerous things. It doesn't matter what it is. And honestly, it's because I never really knew about menopause. I wasn't going through any of the symptoms that I'm going through now. Like, I started going through these symptoms at the tail end of spring last year, and definitely into the summer is when they like really kick-started, but I had no clue what they were. And actually, I remember having a conversation with my stepmom, like right at the beginning of the summer, and we were talking about menopause, and I was asking her like, oh, you know, when did you start going through it? Like, what were your symptoms? And I was like, like I don't have any symptoms yet. And I pivotally remember this conversation because it was like right after that. Bing, 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 bing. Like I started connecting all the dots. And I don't know. I think that's when I really started paying attention. I mean, I started paying attention and learning about the signs of perimenopause definitely over a year ago, but it was like in that moment that we were having that conversation, I didn't think I was really having any symptoms. I'm like, I'm getting my period every month like clockwork. And yeah, right after that is like when everything changed. And I feel really, really bad for past generations, my mom, my stepmom, my aunts, my grandmothers, all these women who have gone through it, and there was no education. There was, you know, when they went to the doctor saying like they're overreacting, they're being a baby, and it's like that's why women gaslight themselves. But I think it's going to happen less and less because there is a lot more education coming to the forefront. There's a lot more research being done. It's being talked about. It's being shared about. I just saw something that Jenny Garth, if you're my age, you know Jenny Garth. And I was a huge 90210 fan. And it was something that she was just sharing yesterday. What did she say? Something about how she doesn't even recognize herself sometimes now that she's going through what she says menopause. And I'm like, oh girl, I feel you oh so much. You like don't even recognize yourself when you look in the mirror and you're like, it's a mind game. And you know, a lot of things, if you've dealt with body image, if you've dealt with eating disorders, if you've dealt with body dysmorphia, any of that, this is a serious mind bleep. I see you. It's normal. Try not to gaslight yourself. I know it's really hard. And try to give yourself as much grace and compassion as you can. Also, if you are taking HRT, if you're taking testosterone, estrogen, anything, like if you've started any kind of hormone replacement therapy, could you share in the comments some of the things that you noticed that changed, things that got better, things that you maybe documented that you learned as you've been taking it, and maybe how long you've been taking it for. And again, I know this could be a controversial topic. I'm not here to get into the if it's good for you, if it's bad for you. I feel like every woman needs to make that decision for themselves. If any of you are going through that, if you've started it, let me know in the comments. Let's make this a discussion because a lot of other people, a lot of other women want to talk about it too, and maybe want to hear from other women because they haven't heard from other women what their results have been, maybe what their, just the process of going through it all. I feel like I'm babbling, and it's probably because there was a guy standing out in his driveway and I felt like I had to keep talking because I'm not just going to turn my camera off. If you have been taking HRT, let's share in the comments what your experiences have been. Let's just educate each other. If you are not subscribed, could you do that? Could you hit the little subscribe button, the little bell notification, if this is something that you want to hear more about? If this is a topic, you know, life after motherhood, perimenopause, all the things of being like 40 plus, 45 plus, 50 plus. I'm 46. So, I'll be sharing more about this. Now, here are all the other fun things I've been doing this week. All the things that have been keeping me occupied. My hobbies, I guess. Here's some of that. Today, when I was at the farmer's market, I bought some lamb chops from the Bank Barn Meats. So it was a farmer's market with obviously fresh produce, but there were also a couple places that had fresh meat, and this was a lamb farm. So I'm gonna make lamb chops, and I am going to make them with mint sauce. So we do eat lamb. We have it, I don't know, probably like once every 2 weeks, and with my garden, I have lots of mint, and so I usually use a mint sauce, which makes these taste beautiful and amazing. So I'm gonna go gather some mint and some parsley from my garden, and then make a mint sauce. I will marinate these for like an hour, and then I will probably bake them in the oven. You can cook them on the grill too, but I think I'm just gonna bake them in the oven. Going to marinate these for about an hour. I made a mint chimichurri sauce in the food processor real quick with mint, parsley, garlic, salt, pepper, and red pepper flakes. So I'll just marinate these for about an hour and then bake them in the oven. first of all, so cute. The blueberries bursted. That's why I like using fresh blueberries when I bake. I do use frozen too, but the fresh ones, they just like pop and burst with flavor. These are really good. Perfect little bite. So I just came out of my facial. I do a facial once a month, and I've been doing that for, I think it's been 4 years. Actually, yes, next month it will be 4 years I started coming here when we moved to Cincinnati, because originally we lived in Florida and we moved to Cincinnati 5 years ago. And I started coming here, and I love my facial lady. It was something, taking care of my skin was never really anything that I put an importance on, other than wearing sunscreen. And I didn't even really do that until probably in my 30s. Just doing normal skincare. I did basic skincare before that. And then when we moved here, I was like, you know what? My kids were starting to get older. I had a little bit more money. One of our daughters had moved out. And as each child moves out, you gain like a little bit more money. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to start taking care of my skin. And it's the best investment that I made in myself. Just giving myself more self-care was something I was starting to do a little bit more. Anyway, so long story short, I have been doing different things. You know, I get different laser treatments every once in a while, like twice a year I'll do a photo facial, but every month I come for just a basic facial, and it's something that I've come to really enjoy, and my skin has really enjoyed it too. But this time, like last month, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna do like the ultimate facial, like the best facial they give. Let me tell you, it was incredible. You can just see how like glowy my skin is. The whole thing felt amazing this week. And I don't usually get headaches very often, but this week I've been getting like a headache here on the top of my head, like right in here. And it comes with like this massage, and it was just, oh my gosh, the most incredible facial I've ever had. As I was leaving, I told the girl who was sitting in the waiting room, I just randomly talk to people all the time. That's just my personality. But when I was leaving, I was like, oh my, she was sitting there waiting for her turn. And I'm like, if you ever get a chance to do this facial, and she's like, which one was it? And so I like showed her where it was. Anyway, this is the most serene, just wonderful place I've ever been to. And I love my esthetician. She just has like the most calming voice and the most wonderful personality. She's like perfect for this line of work. And anyway, so I don't even know what it was, like some kind of collagen tightening facial. But she said she has a couple clients who do this twice a month, and they don't need Botox because they get this facial. And I'm not one that desires Botox. It's just not something that I want to do. But I'm like, if I could just keep getting this facial and get the benefits of Botox, sure. I don't know if I'll be doing it twice a month. That's a little much to ask for, but I will be incorporating it. That is for sure. So I'm just going to bask in the calmness. I'm not even going to turn on the radio. I'm just going to go home in quiet. It just feels so good.